Hey guys, this is Tyler here, and I want to take a moment here to discuss the current state of the U.S. military and its decisions recently. They have taken this very proactive stance to promote, endorse all kinds of homosexual behaviors in the military. And it was just recently, obviously, this don't ask, don't tell policy was changed, and it was made very acceptable for men and women to come out as gay and to openly express themselves in this way. And this is something that we obviously have seen in many facets of American society now. There's an education and the prison system and other sectors of the government and entertainment and politics. It's everywhere, honestly. It's in all areas of business. And really, the US and Canada both are at the pinnacle in terms of countries and their promotion of these behaviors. And obviously, too, there's other areas like there's been famous commercials. I think it was the CIA or NSA was promoting this very pro-gay, pro-transgender, pro-everything of this area. And it's just been getting out of control. The military, as I said, is the area, though, that's really going to destroy this is really going to destroy the military. They're chopping off their feet here because when you look at how militaries have to behave and when guys mostly go into combat zones, it's very impractical for there to be a lot of gay behaviors on the front lines and in these areas of engagement. It's very odd also when I look at countries elsewhere that have militaries, and this behavior is not at all pushed like it is in the US. Even places like Argentina, very famous for being pretty pro-gay and kind of ahead of its time in this area, they certainly don't push it in the way that the US military does. And it's very dangerous also. I mean, just like it wouldn't work so well to have couples, men and women, together fighting on the front lines in any military engagement and serving, it's the same thing here with two gay partners. This just isn't practical. Also, in the general ranks, even in non-combat zones, on home territory, wherever, on military bases, it's not healthy and productive for the military to promote this. It's almost like they're trying to self-destroy themselves. And most guys that would have inclination to want to serve, to fight in the military, they're not going to be too keen on this concept that the U.S. is pushing. It's just, it kind of collides, I think, the notion. You might get some exceptions here and there, but most guys, you're more combat ready. Men that are ready to fight, to serve their country, are not going to fall into this line of thought. And also, if this is the areas that they're fighting for, they're going to be less likely to want to go and serve. It's just going to be unlikely to happen. These guys are probably going to maybe try something else, maybe try going to combat sports or something more business-like where they may profit more. They're probably not going to go and possibly get their limbs blown off for a country that is pushing these kind of behaviors. And when you look at, like, I was watching, there's a recent commercial of the Russian special ops, and they don't at all promote any of these behaviors. And they, in fact, tell their soldiers what the U.S. military now is pushing, and they see it as a complete joke, honestly. They just don't understand it. And I think also this is one positive aspect, that the Russian people are mostly the descendants of peasant populations. I don't think peasants were as inclined or as ahead with all the pro-gay agenda like in Western countries, Western Europe, Southern Europe. The mindset just wasn't as developed, you might say, in this way. Not developed though in a healthy way, of course. This seems really odd, as I said before. Why would the U.S. military be pushing this? And they also, of course, as I mentioned before, pushing a lot of women to go into the military. And this is probably one of the reasons, in fact, they are pushing it, to get more of the other gender to come in and to serve. They want to obviously have as many women, if not more women, in the future serving, which is also completely disastrous. It may also be to serve as a distraction, both promoting more women coming in and also the pro-gay agenda. This could serve as a distraction from bigger issues going on within the military and just politics in general, and possibly to serve as kind of a distractor if the U.S. is keen on being in conflicts overseas for like in the Middle East and whatnot. This can serve as kind of a distractor. People look maybe more at this than the meat of the issue, the meat of the issues going on with the military. And I think also it has to do with the acceptance of public funding for the military, because a lot of people in recent times have become more adverse to want to have so much taxpayer money going into like a military expenditure. It's a huge part of the U.S. GDP. In many countries, it plays a very significant role in the GDP budgets, but in the U.S., it's monstrous. I think what especially Democrat politicians think is that if they have more of this agenda push, just like they have more women push, people will be more inclined to accept all the expenditure here, because as we can see, like in the private sector, corporations, whatever, when people see kind of these agendas push, it really helps them sell more and for people to spend more and just be more pro-corporatist. And this, I think, is the same mindset here in the military. They looking at it from this angle. And of course, too, it helps like in other countries. Like we look at alliances like NATO, and when various militaries from different countries come together, these soldiers in other countries, like here in Europe, Estonia, wherever, they can see, like, look at the U.S. and be like, oh, this is a very gay military, and they'll basically try to spread these ideals across the world into not just the society but the military, and try to promote these same agendas. And this is I think also a big role, because we know like the secret service agencies, there's no question when we look at the CIA and the kind of role that they served in pushing these very destructive agendas. That's really what a lot of this is about when we look at the CIA, is that they often push certain agendas, they drive agendas. When you look at like perhaps the older music industries of the 1960s and 70s, this is when it first started becoming common for them to do. I was watching a YouTuber, Jay Dyer's his name, and he kind of has a lot of interesting stuff to say here about this, and how basically the CIA worked with people. They would send them abroad, they would pay for their like tours, and or they would have these people go to concerts and actually give them like psychedelics to give to these people, or to sell to these people at the concerts, and to distribute the psychedelics. And they were also pushing like in really old music videos these very nude and provocative scenes to try appeal more, and much of this was by planning of the CIA. And so there's no question, too, that they also are very much tied here, even though this is not the military. Another government wing, and of course many former CIA, or many CIA people are former military guys. So it totally makes sense here when you look at it from this angle. Like I said, too, it goes back to the same thing, to get more funds, to get more public support here. This is a great asset. Like the military historically was one of these areas, I think, where they really, guys as a whole, would try to find wives, have children, have families. So the military, I think, sees this as another maybe smaller one, that get more gay military members. They're not going to have kids and have families, and it also is pushes this kind of anti-population agenda. So it goes hand in hand here. But really, when you look at history, in the times where there has been a lot of homosexual behaviors in military ranks, it's had devastating effects. And this is truly one of the worst things that the U.S. could do. And so I don't see this going anywhere good. No question, it's not going in too well. But give me your feedback below on here, and thank you.